All right, y'all. Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of the Easy Money Sports Podcast. Of course, me myself as always. Sandy's here. Got my guy Dupree here with me.
What's going on? Madness is here, baby. The madness is
Hey,
here.
the madness is here. I'm telling you, it hadn't wasted no time. Both
Mm-hmm.
men's and women's. It hadn't wasted no time for the madness to start for sure. It's been already a crazy day and a half, going on 2 days of the NCAA tournament. Of course, a lot to unpack in for that. And it's some slight little NFL news too, man. But for the most part, that's what we got on tap for y'all today. Is talking about this tournament for sure. But in quick news, we'll go ahead and start over in the NFL. The latest, biggest news that's pretty much have came out from there. Justin Fields finally is done. We figure out now what each side are going to do at
Mm-hmm.
this point now and how it's going to work. Justin Fields traded from the Chicago Bears to the Pittsburgh Steelers for just a 6th-round pick that could potentially turn into a 4th round depending on playing time. And then Pittsburgh went ahead and just announced it that he will be serving in the backup role to Russell Wilson for the time being.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was so interesting to see how that goes, but a lot of people, once they seen what was given up for it, was kind of like, different fans of other teams. New England, you even heard some of the people, I don't know if you did, but some of the people
Yep.
from Atlanta,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like, damn, that's it, just
You
a 6th
tripping.
round. We could have, woo. And it's just like, well, look, man, I don't know if you were like, really in depth into it or keeping up or seeing like all the different rumors, but Pittsburgh was a destination that I kept hearing for
Okay.
Justin Fields anyway. That's like I wasn't really hearing, but it was Pittsburgh and possibly New England, just because of maybe if they decide to where they don't want to take on one of the other young quarterbacks or whatever and everything like that. But I was hearing Pittsburgh's name a lot. That was like guarantees. I mean, the other rumors that Atlanta here and there now and then, but it was
Mm-hmm.
just kind of like food for thought. But I was hearing Pittsburgh name a lot, so I'm kind of not surprised that he went there. But I guess for a 6th round, I get it, but it seemed like they didn't really give up nothing to get him. But initially, I guess once the trade went down, bro, like how did you feel about it, and what did you think on it?
I was shocked, obviously, because they just signed Russell Wilson. Granted, it was only for $1.2 million, but the fact that they just signed Russell Wilson, that was shocking. On the day went out and traded for him, and then to hear that he was going to he wasn't going to be in the competition for the job. He was going to be the backup. But it gives him an opportunity to learn from Russell Wilson, learn under Mike Tomlin, learn the offense. Obviously, at some point, if Russ is stinking it up, Justin Fields is going to get the nod. And to be honest, the quarterback room with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields is better than what they've had in the past 2-3 years. So um, I was shocked. I definitely heard all the things, especially from coming out of Atlanta, as far as what the Steelers gave up to get Justin Fields. But people have to think about all the dominoes that have fallen before that. Kirk Cousins signs and he gets his deal, and then ultimately, but before that, Russell Wilson signs and he signs with Pittsburgh. So I'm pretty sure there were some suitors. I'm pretty sure Atlanta was looking at Justin Fields, but how much were the Bears looking to obtain from a from a team? What were they looking for compensation wise to get for Justin Fields? Were they looking for a 1st-round pick, a 2nd-round pick? Were they looking for a play? Like, what were they looking for? And I think that once everything happened quarterback wise in the NFL, guys signing, free agents signing, things like that, and there really wasn't any movement. Chicago was like, all right, we got to take the best available deal. And this, if we want to move on from Justin, this is the best deal we have right now. Is to get this 6th-round pick that could turn into a 4th round and get him off the book so we can then go ahead and draft our quarterback. So I am. But initially, you are not going to be able to get Justin Fields for a 6th round pick. I can guarantee you that. If you're Atlanta, if you're New England, like before everything happened, you won't be able to get him for a 6th round pick. I can guarantee that. I can guarantee you that. So I think once all the dominoes fell, that's what it came down to. Chicago just took the best deal that they could get, and it's probably for the best, man, for Justin, just to get out of there, get out of Chicago. It seemed like some people wanted him and some people didn't, as far as organizationally. You run into go into a situation where you got a good defense, you got some pieces on offense, you need another receiver. Defensively, you could take a corner, you could take another O lineman as well on offense, but going to a situation where Pittsburgh is one of the best ran organizations in the NFL. You got Mike Tomlin there, who's one of the best head coaches um, in the NFL. Obviously, we know all the things that he's accomplished throughout his tenure with Pittsburgh. So he's going to a good situation. I think at some point, I do believe at some point he could end up starting this year, especially obviously if Russ isn't playing well. But I do believe at some point he'll end up starting. That's just my opinion of it. We'll see what happens. But this will be a good situation for him moving forward. I believe this would be a good situation for Justin Fields. So, am I upset he's not in Atlanta? I don't know. We don't know. But I'm happy that he got out of Chicago because that didn't seem like it was going anywhere.
Yeah, I think for me it was just kind of more so when I'm looking at it on both sides. Um, it was a it was the elephant in the room really for
Mm-hmm.
Chicago. Like, what were they gonna do? Like, were they thinking about maybe because I think initially in the beginning they were trying to go ahead and try to find Justin Holmes like the right place, Justin Fields, the right home
Mm-hmm.
to be in. But like you said, who knows what at that point what they were asking from other
Mm-hmm.
teams? Like, were they wanting a second, a third, throw in a player, two
Mm-hmm.
players, or whoever? And maybe the market for Justin at the time just wasn't what nobody really thought it should have been. It just wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Or it could have been more so that maybe, hey, Chicago was probably thinking maybe since we can't really get rid of him right now, or not trying to get rid of him, we keep him. We got 2 first-round picks. We've made some moves in free agency. We brought in DeAndre Swift, Gerald Everett. This is prior to the trade happening. Gerald
Mm-hmm.
Everett and DeAndre Swift, and you already got Cole Kmet there. Got in DJ Moore from last year. Um, Obviously, just wanted to build up on the offensive line. The defense is, for the most part, solid. You sure of Jalen Johnson and everything like that. So you kind of think, okay, well, maybe we give him this year here, and we take, I don't know, maybe you take a, I don't want to say a Marvin Harrison, but say if you do
Mm-hmm.
want to add another receiver there at one, or take an offensive lineman right there at
Mm-hmm.
one, or maybe you trade back and then you come back in that line, you can get that wide receiver or however you wanted it to be done, right? Or whatever, and just kind of build it there. But um, the suitors probably wasn't there, like you said at that
Mm-hmm.
time. That or maybe what they were asking for could have been too much
Yeah.
right before all of this happens, and then you think, all right, well, Atlanta goes signs Kirk Cousins, so it's like, all right, knock out Justin Fields to Atlanta. That's
Mm-hmm.
not going to be there. You were hearing about other different places here and there that maybe you could, and then it's kind of like, well, does this staff think that they can do something with them? Can they do something? Can they do something? Can they do something? And it's just to the point now where it's like, well, if Pittsburgh come calling and they've already made their deal and they're moving with Russell Wilson, and they're like, well, this is probably only for a year or two anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to go ahead and get another guy in here? And what's the price now? And they're like, well, at this point we've decided, we want to go into a different direction. What y'all, what are y'all offering? Okay, that's what y'all offering. Let's make these conditions and
Mm-hmm.
terms, and boom, there it is. But um, but it's crazy. It's a lot of 50-50 going on right there in Chicago. There's definitely a good portion of fans who are like, okay, look, it is what it is. Like, I know he might not really gotten a fair shake, but we also see 10 and 22 as a starter. So it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like, what else do we need to see?
Yeah.
let's go get Caleb Williams. And then it's like the other side, I can see where it's like, well, damn, we doing the rebuild now. Like we got the weapons in here. We
Yeah.
bringing in all these guys, and like now you want to start all over again with another quarterback. Like
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna be in the same. Are we gonna mess around and be in the same situation 2-3 years from now again? So I can see the frustrations on it, for sure with the way Chicago fans feel, because the way they felt about probably this move is how some of us for Atlanta fans felt like,
Yeah.
damn, why we go get an older quarterback when we could go ahead and let's try to get another one so we can have another 5-10 years or so at least to have something,
Yeah.
instead of more so like, all right, we bring in this guy and it don't work, now we set back again for another 2-3
Mm-hmm.
years. Who we don't know what
Mm-hmm.
the we don't know what quarterback is going to be there come 2026, 27, whatever like that. It's year by year. So you don't really try to look too far ahead like that, because, the guys got to develop themselves into that. But, you know, a sixth and a fourth, depending on playing time, yeah, it is what it is. But I just think now it's clear and concise what each side wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
Pittsburgh gets in two quarterbacks, upgrades their quarterback room by a mile. Like
Mm-hmm.
you said, the best it's been probably since Ben left. The best it's been, and that's been what, 2-3 years now. So
Something like that. Probably
yeah,
four,
so
really.
it's
Yeah.
really, because even his last couple of years there was, yeah.
Yeah.
And then obviously now it's a lock. Caleb Williams is probably finna go to Chicago, and on top of that, they bring in Keenan Allen,
Mm-hmm.
from Los Angeles. So now, when you're just looking at all the weapons that they got there potentially that can be there for him, is Caleb Williams at 1, and then probably BPA, however they feel, at 9. If it's an
Mm-hmm.
offensive lineman that's still there, that may go offensive lineman. If they want to bring in one more wide receiver, or however it may be, how they feel the need to be at 9, they can do that. So I think it's just clear and concise that each side knows what they want, what the potential could be. And like you said, if Russ isn't looking too good and Pittsburgh is 2-5, 3-4, and they just kind of
Mm-hmm.
struggling by weeks, week 6, week 7. We know Mike T. We know Mike T. Coach T would go ahead and
I'll
and
call him
pull
up.
that plug and be like, "Hey,
Mm-hmm.
let's go, man. Let's see what you let's see. You've been rocking. Let's work. What we
Mm-hmm.
gonna do?" So I just think I understand some other fans' frustration on, dang, that's all they got rid of. That's all they got in return just to get rid of them, or that's all the
Mm-hmm.
team had to send to get them. Like, we could have done that. We don't know that. Like
Yeah.
I said, we don't know what the asking price was at that point, at that time during talks of that, if there were any talks in the talks or any talks at all, because I don't know how everybody viewed Justin Fields. Like, some
Mm-hmm.
might have viewed him like, hey, Chicago didn't really give him much of a fair shake. He just needs a fresh start somewhere. And then others could be saying, I saw enough. I don't want no parts of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, man. It is what it is. But I think all in all, both sides, it works out for them. They clear and concise. They know what they want. They know what they're gonna do now. They figure out what's gonna happen. And to me, that's fine. I mean, what I would have loved Justin Fields in Atlanta, of course. But it is what it is.
It is what it is, man.
I'm not upset about it. I mean, damn it, the schedule ain't out yet, but we do play Pittsburgh this year. Hopefully, he ain't starting by the time. Hopefully, he ain't starting by the time we play him. And I know we talked real bad, or well, I ain't gonna say we, mainly me, talked real bad about Arthur Smith. But I think he's gonna I think he's gonna do a pretty good job up there as an offensive coordinator. He is a a, a decent coordinator, and
We just didn't have a
he
quarterback
has,
in Atlanta, man. Didn't have a
yeah, yeah,
quarterback. And
yeah.
You drafted
So
Desmond, and you thought, it's kind of questionable. It just didn't work.
yeah,
So,
yeah. So now the fact that he have a veteran guy there, with Russell Wilson. Najee Harris is still there. I mean, they traded away Deontay Johnson to Carolina, or whichever way he's over to Carolina now. So, obviously
Yeah.
they'll be trying to look to build some other ways, but they'll make something work for sure. So it is what it
Mm-hmm.
is, man. It'll all work out in the end for both of those guys, for both sides. So that's just what it is, man. Not too much of an issue with it for me. But best of luck to Justin Fields, man. Hopefully, he can find some way to if not this year, maybe next year for sure, get out there on the field, man, and prove everybody that he is a capable
Mm-hmm.
starting NFL quarterback out here and possibly a franchise quarterback as well. So that's that with that, man. On to the nitty gritty of what's going on, what
Mm-hmm.
is getting everybody up in arms. I mean, whether you are a fan of basketball or not, it's just this is something that brings everybody together, man.
Mm-hmm.
March Madness, the NCAA tournament, where all you need is one bad game, man, and you out of there. It don't matter who
It's
you are.
over. It's
Don't
over.
matter who you are. One bad game and you out of there. And we've already seen it, man, from day one. So of course the tournament started yesterday. The biggest upset, well, at first the biggest upset of the day at that point was probably Duquesne beating BYU.
BYU.
The 11 over the 6 seed. I don't know. I mean, I guess, when you can't have no relations with no women, man, I mean,
Yeah, I picked
that'll
them.
mess
I picked them.
that'll mess your game up. I don't know how true this is, but there was
I
a
heard it. Yep. Go ahead.
there was a thing about that. Initially,
Yep.
the committee was going to rank BYU as a 5 seed. The problem with that was they would have played today, and if they
Yep.
would have won, they would have had to play on Sunday.
Yep.
They
And they
can't
can't play
play
on Sunday.
on Sundays, so that's why they ended up being a 6 instead of a 5.
And Drew Duquesne. And
And end up,
L.
yeah, that's
Tough.
tough. That,
Would they have beat the 12 seed? We don't know, but
I
that's
don't know.
tough.
I don't know because I don't know who they would have got. I don't know if they would have gotten.
I don't know who the
I don't know
12
if they
seed
would have
is. I
gotten
never know.
Grant. I don't know if they would have. If they were going to be in the East, it would have been UAB. But then I don't know where. So I don't know who they would have switched far as
Guess San Diego
somebody that
State would
was
have been the
supposed to.
5
So I'm like, I don't know.
or
Yeah, I don't
6.
know if so I'm like who would have been the 6? Would have been San Diego State or would they been in another region somewhere? I don't know, but
Yeah, that's tough. That's a tough
That's
go
that's
at it.
tough. That's tough for sure. But at that point, that was the biggest upset yesterday. Well, as the day goes on, there's a school out there in I think it's in Michigan, Wisconsin, somewhere up there. And I don't even know where they're located. But Oakland
Michigan.
University is
In
in Michigan,
Michigan.
right? It's in
Yes.
Michigan. Okay, I thought so. So in Michigan, Oakland University, the Golden Grizzlies pulls off a crazy 80-76 upset over the third seed Kentucky Wildcats. Prominent blue blood, Coach Cal, Rob Dillingham, Reed Shepard, just all
No.
these 5-star McDonald's All American who is going to be playing. Some of these guys will be in the league or playing overseas somewhere, making them some good
Mm-hmm.
money. And we talking about guys who probably gonna end up being, agents at Northwestern Mutual or something like that, coming in doing a thing, man. So Oakland, big win. Hey man, don't laugh at me, bro. Hey, that's the crazy thing about this tournament, bro. You
It's
got
what's
listen,
the usual.
listen, brother. You know what I'm saying? You some of these teams got some dudes that's gonna be going to the league or the chance of going to the league, playing professional, whether it
You're
be
right. Yeah.
NBA or G League, overseas professional. Some of these guys gonna have a chance, and some of these guys when they finish playing ball at some of these other schools, man, are just gonna be working regular day jobs.
For sure. No, you're
but
right.
but they out here cooking these boys, man.
Ball.
They out here cooking these boys, right? And
Ball.
it and,
Yeah.
and it's crazy. So that was the biggest upset. Probably the big well. I might still say that's the biggest upset so far in the
So far.
tournament. But
Yeah.
then even today, man, today kind of held this course for the most part, and then until you looked up and Auburn. losing as a 4 seed to Yale. And I think a lot of people had Auburn as like a sleeper team that could possibly make a
Mm-hmm.
run, and one of the few teams in that region out in the East that they thought could maybe really give UConn some competition as they on their way trying to repeat as champions. But they lose in the first seed to Yale, man, to the Ivy League, and
Mm-hmm.
the upset there, man. And then over in the women's side of it, they just started today as well, first round. For the most part, everything has held to course there, except for uh the alma mater.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes,
MTSU,
sir.
Middle Tennessee State University, goes in, which I I don't know if you can say it was. I guess by seeding, you can say it's an
Nah, it's an
upset.
upset. Oh yeah, it's an upset. But we know what's going
But
on though. We know what's going on.
But me personally, I feel like we were underseeded. Maybe we probably should have been a 10 or a 9. We hadn't lost since the calendar year of 2024 started.
Mm-hmm.
We've been rolling. And this is a team. Granted, I know teams are different from year to year, but this is the same team in MTSU who played Louisville the year before, who had Haley Van Leeft on that squad, right? And beat them by 20.
Yes.
That's why when the bracket came out and saw that Haley, she sat there and she said, "Man, MTSU pretty much gonna kick Louisville." I mean, and they
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
kick
yeah.
they didn't kick that, but
They had to come back
down
and win
by
it.
down by
Yeah.
18,
Mm-hmm.
and to claw all the way back, and the free throw shooting was clutch. The
Yeah,
free throw
yeah.
shooting was clutch. I mean, they
Mm-hmm.
missed 2 at the end of the game, but the half court heat, it had a chance for sure. That half court heat had a chance. It was
It was
online,
online for sure.
glass, just didn't. Luckily, it bounced the other way for it, but the free throw shooting was clutch. So yeah, been the biggest upset so far, in the women's tournament, man. So as we continue on going through the first round of the men's is still going on tonight. So
Mm-hmm.
as well as the women's, man, what are your views so far of this first round and what you've been noticing? What's been going on?
I just think that there are teams that I expected to potentially make a run that are already gone. I thought that Auburn was one of those teams that was going to be able to make a little push and, like you said, give UConn some trouble. I thought Kentucky was at least going to make a push for at least a Sweet 16. I thought that they had started hitting their stride. Like I said, I picked BYU to make an Elite Eight. Like there were some teams, man, that I thought that had a shot. But once again, it you never know. It just speaks to the unpredictability of March Madness and this NCAA tournament, man. You just like you said it when we opened, man. One bad night. That's all it takes. One bad night, one off night shooting, one off night rebounding, one night where you're just playing bad defensively. Like Auburn is has been one of the best defensive teams in the country all season, and they let Yale come back and win that game earlier today. You're talking about a Kentucky team where they say you got all these 5-star McDonald All Americans. You got the I know Sheboy went down. National Player of the Year. He went down early in the year, but you have scoring all over the floor if you're Kentucky for Coach Cal. Scoring all over the floor, and this dude goes berserk and shoots 23s and hits 10 of them. Scores 32 points. I mean, off the bench too. Ballistic. Um, it just speaks to the unpredictability, man. It speaks to why it's called March Madness. Um, I don't know, man. There are some teams that won yesterday that I'm not shocked. I picked North Carolina State. I picked North Carolina State to beat Texas Tech. I just thought that after their run, winning 5 games in a row to win the ACC tournament, I figured they were going to be hot and keep that rolling. Um, Texas handled business, although that was a very low scoring game that they played in 56 to 44 or whatever it was. A team like Tennessee handling business. There are some teams that definitely did what they need to do. Arizona handled business um, yesterday as well. So, and we're early. We still have plenty of games. The games that are going on right now are pretty much set in stone. But James Madison, Wisconsin, James Madison is 31-3 on the year. TCU and Utah State, that's an 8-9 matchup. You have Grand Canyon and St. Mary. Like you got some, um, you still have some games that could go either way. I thought FAU was going to make a push, or at least win today, and they had it at the end. I think that was a bonehead decision by by Davis. Man, Northwestern ties the game up, 8.1 seconds on the clock. You inbound the ball. He dribbles up the court, and once he crosses half court with 4 seconds left, he pulls up. Like he just slows down, like he stops. Like he has 13 seconds on the clock. And then he's up a
Insane.
three, go to overtime, and then Northwestern hit 2 or 3 shots in a row, and that was basically all she wrote from there. So, but definitely did not see Auburn losing. Definitely did not see Kentucky losing. Those two teams for sure that shocked me. I mean, there'll be some more, man. There's gonna be some more here coming up. It could be tonight, it could be tomorrow, but there's gonna be some more teams that lose, and we're not expecting them to lose, man. And um, who's gonna be? It's always right. You do these brackets. Who's the team? What team is gonna make the run? You never know. You can maybe guess, but like which team is gonna make the run? Which these lower seeds are gonna give a 1 seed or a 2 seed an issue? Um, and it's different. It's different every year, but the Kentucky one for me is the biggest one. Coach Cal, he's got some answering to do, man. I have a lot. I know a lot of people from Kentucky, a lot of the Kentucky Wildcat fans, and they are not happy. Like a lot of them are calling for his job because he's 1-4 now in the last 5 years in the NCAA tournament. Um, haven't won the SEC in forever. I think they keep getting bounced out of the first round. This past year, you were the 2 seed and you got bounced out. You got bounced out against Texas A&M. Like this, it's been bad. So the people in Lexington, they're not happy right now. So um, we'll see, but it's living up to the hype. The tournament is living up to the hype on the men's side for sure.
Yeah, I think what's been great about this is kind of like, people try to predict those upsets. They're like, they're looking at that 5-12, the 6-11,
Mm-hmm.
17s. They try to look in there and see, and you think, okay, well, this is the one that'll be there, and then it ends up not being that one. It'll
Mm-hmm.
be another one. Like the guys in the Goonies chat making a joke about St. Peter's in Tennessee because St. Peter's made that run a couple of years ago as a 15
Mm-hmm.
seed,
Yeah.
and then lo and behold, it's Oakland that's the one who is like, okay, this is a team that did it again. I think the biggest thing for me right now has been man, the SEC conference just pretty
Yo,
much they laid an egg, right?
man.
They were tied with the Big 12 with the most teams in the field, 8 teams.
Mm-hmm.
So far, only 2 wins. Tennessee, Texas A&M. Looks like they're on the way to a third one with Alabama. They're kind of
Mm-hmm.
cruising along pretty well against Charleston. So I think last I checked, they were about 20.
They're still up
In
by
the
20.
in the second half. So looks like 3-5.
Mm-hmm.
For as SEC teams, and I think the scary thing about it is like the way they've been losing. Um, Mississippi State, first game of the day yesterday was against. Granted, it was Michigan State. You know how they can be in March.
Yeah.
Coach Izzo can Coach Izzo can get hot at any moment. Trust me, as a North Carolina fan, I am nervous tomorrow. I am
Yeah.
nervous, for sure. Um, Man, Florida just the way that they just
Yeah.
lost here to Colorado. Uh, Man, that was kind of nerve wracking. Obviously, you mentioned about Auburn, how they pretty much kind of had the game intact, but just let it slip away. So just kind of crazy how the SEC having this many teams in the field and just for the most part all of them getting bounced out um in the first round. And then I would have to say, I guess another thing is kind of more so like just how tight um some of the games has been. And then all of
Mm-hmm.
a sudden like it just balloons
Yeah.
on some of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I think that was can't remember who was it yesterday.
I think
One of those
Creighton did
games
that yesterday.
it was
Creighton
kind of
was it
them and
was
Akron
tight.
was
I can't
kind of
remember.
tight.
Yeah. And
It was tight
then
between them and Akron, and before you knew
the
it,
Yeah.
Boom.
Frank woke
Arizona.
up and was like, "Yep."
Yeah. Arizona did the same thing in that first half against Long Beach State. They
Mm-hmm.
hung around. But then like before you knew it, they ended up winning by like I think 21 points. So it's just kind
Mm-hmm.
of like it's a good thing that some of those teams, which a lot of times for some of those higher seeds, it takes about a half because in a way you kind of I don't want to say you're not respecting the opponent, but you're kind of like, all right, we know we're playing a lower seed and these guys may not be as talented or
Mm-hmm.
athletic as us, so can do the things that we do, but we don't I don't know much about them, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
kind of filling them out, and then all of a sudden, okay, we got to figure it out. Let's get going, right? So that's the thing with that. Um, oh, another thing I wanted to point out that I know for me in the tournament was for so far in this first round with the men's. Um, I mean, I hate to say I told y'all so about FAU.
I thought they was gonna get one. I thought they'd get one. I thought they were gonna win today.
Now, I will say this.
I picked them to win today. I picked them
In
to win
in
today.
my in my bracket, I had
Yeah,
them
my
winning
bracket.
too.
Yeah,
I had them. I thought they could get one,
yeah.
but I'm not surprised because
Mm-hmm.
I think I felt like they really shouldn't have got in anyway. But since they're in, that's fine. I don't think they should have been an 8. I thought maybe they should have been a 9 or a 10, just because the only real key win that they have is that win over Arizona. Other than that, they've been
Yeah.
they really have been up and down, and it is what it is. And like you said, just Davis making just that ill-advised
Oh,
play, trying to play hero ball. I mean, that's the only other way y'all can really put it. Just trying to
just
play
go to
hero
the
ball.
cup, man. Go to the cup, get fouled, or just get an easier shot. That was not the shot. I mean, it didn't even hit the rim. It didn't hit the
Right.
rim. It didn't make it to the rim. Like, no, that didn't make any sense to me, man. That didn't make any sense.
Yeah, just I don't know, man. Just trying to play hero ball. So it's just kind of like that wasn't it. That wasn't it, man. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so it is what it is with that. But then like over on the women's side, pretty much it's been kind of quiet
Yeah,
for their day one. I mean, most teams who all the higher seeds have pretty much have prevailed.
yeah.
Uh, Iowa State had to make a comeback against Maryland. I know at one point Maryland was up as a 10 seed over 7 seed Iowa State. They were up for a little bit, but it looks like it's about 26, 27 seconds left in that one. And Iowa State is up 5. So barring a miracle happening, they may have that one in the bag now.
Mm-hmm.
Oregon State is up big on Eastern Washington. We still got a few more games to go, 2 more games to go here tonight for them, and they'll wrap up day one. But yeah, pretty much most of the higher seeds have all won today. The one biggest upset that we have right now, yeah, for sure, like we said earlier, was the MTSU Lady Raiders coming back from 18 points against Louisville, getting that dub.
Mm-hmm.
Far with that, and then tomorrow there's a lot of good games and a lot of good players that we looking at. Tennessee going up against Green Bay. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Paige Buckers and UConn getting Jackson State. We'll see Caitlin Clark tomorrow as well. Juju Watkins tomorrow as well. So a lot of good teams that we'll get to see tomorrow. A chance that maybe there could be a 1 or 2 upsets tomorrow there, but so far everybody is holding the fort down over on the women's side. Obviously, you're looking at that MTSU game against Louisville. Just talk about, bro, just the grit and the determination. For the Lady Raiders to mount that comeback, man. First tournament win in 17 years.
Yeah.
Coach Insel, Coach Insel has been bringing the girls to the tournament, and they've been climbing their way there and getting to the tournament. But I would say the last maybe this year and the last couple of years, they finally got some good draws. Out now, the other times beforehand, they did get some tough draws against some tough teams that
Mm-hmm.
they ended up matching up with. I think the last couple of years they've been able to get a couple of good draws and got a real good one this year. With Louisville. A lot of people. You know, when they saw the bracket get set up over there in that region, in that what's it, which one is that? The region two, the Albany two region. They
Mm-hmm.
were thinking, oh, okay, LSU is a 3 seed, Louisville's a 6 seed. If they both advance, oh, Haley Van Lith will get to play against her former team, and trying to set up the storyline
Mm-hmm.
for it.
It was
But there
already
were a
written.
lot
It
of
was already
people,
written.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But there were quite a few people who were like, hold on now, pump your brakes. Louisville can't be worrying about wanting to play their former player, their former teammate, because
Mm-hmm.
they're facing a team who, like we said, at that point hadn't lost since December. You know, it
Mm-hmm.
hadn't lost since December, riding on I think what 18, 19 game winning streak.
Yeah.
You know, just been rolling along here. Only what 4 losses all year.
Yep.
I mean, so you know you can't just sit up there and think that you had it in the bag, and it looked like for the most part it was going kind of head that way because MTSU wasn't making their shots in the beginning, and Louisville were, but man, they kept battling and everything, and before you know it, that lead slimmed down from 18 to 15 to 12. They got it under the
Mm-hmm.
9, got it under the 4, and then it's like, okay, they're coming along, which is how it works in these tournaments, especially when it's the
Mm-hmm.
lower seeds, right? And it's a neutral place. They're down in Baton Rouge and
Yep.
on LSU's court, and you know, obviously the crowd sometimes isn't as full as it is like for a men's tournament, but it's kind of still the same feeling as you're watching it. You're like, okay, the lower seed is hanging around. They're hanging around. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
they're closing the gap, and then all of a sudden, the crowd is kind of like, man, Bump trying
I'm
to
about
see
to say this.
Louisville. I wanna see this, right? I
Mm-hmm.
wanna. They like, I don't even know where MTSU is located, but let's
No, they don't.
MTSU. Let MTS. Hey, go ahead and do it. And it's just like it's going and going and going, and then before you know it, they grab the lead, and it's a little back and forth, and man, like I said earlier, just clutch free throw shooting that they had,
Mm-hmm.
and were able to pull it out, man. How did you feel about that? Seeing how that transpired and everything like that they were able to pull off right now the biggest upset in the tournament so far on the women's side.
Yeah, I think it just speaks to um, Coach Insel. I think it speaks to the team just in general. Like you said, they haven't lost since December. They were undefeated in conference play. They've only lost 4 games all year. Um, and so, not saying that they've blown everybody out that they play, but they've been in some tight games. This team has been together, and they've been a good team all year. The fact that they weren't ranked at some point throughout the season to me didn't make any sense. The fact that they were 11 seed to me didn't make any sense. Having won 30 games, 29 games, whatever it was, didn't make any sense to me. Um, and Savannah Wheeler showed why she was the Conference USA Player of the Year. Missed her first 6 shots. I think she had two early fouls, and she scored 20 points. Excuse me, scored 20 points in the second half. I mean, just lit it up in the second half. Missed those first 6 in that first half. Got some foul trouble, had a couple turnovers, and then the second half lit it up and led MTSU back to be able to win that ball game earlier today. Obviously, we as alum, we've seen this before. It's not the first time we've seen MTSU basketball, not just speaking women's, but men's too, have upset wins in the NCAA tournament. The men's did it twice while we were in school there. And the women's team has always been good. Let's just get that out the way. The women's team has always been good for as long as I can remember. Since I started attending MTSU back in 2015, the women's team has always been good, winning the conference regular season, winning the conference tournament, getting to the NCAA tournament, like you said, and then just having some bad draws. I've always felt the women's tournament is a little different. You don't see as many upsets because more times than not, the better team has the better athletes, so they're going to win in the women's game. If you have the better athletes, more times than not, you're probably going to win. Now you might catch lightning in the bottle sometimes here or there, but those when you just outmatched athletically and physically, it's tough. It's tough in the women's game, but I think that MT matched up with Louisville. I thought that obviously, like you said, last year they went and beat Louisville by 20 points last year, and that was with Haley Van Lith. So we had seen this basketball team before. We weren't scared of them at all. And the fact that they were able to grind their way back and win that basketball game earlier today just speaks to the testament of Coach Enzo, man. I don't know how much credit he gets for the work that he's done at MTSU. He's been one of the constants. He's been one of the constants at MTSU, man, and this just speaks. It's just another notch in his belt. It just speaks to it again, what he's been able to do with his basketball program. And they got a test. They got a test. Obviously down in Baton Rouge, playing LSU next. It's gonna be a home game, so they got a test coming up, man. But I mean, you never know. You never know. So I'm proud of them for sure. I was happy when I saw it when we just got done with a scrimmage earlier, and I saw that they had won. And I was letting all the coaches know. NT Lady Raiders won today. Yeah, they won. So
Yeah.
the rest of y'all deal with all that other stuff. Just know we still playing. So
Yeah.
there we go. But yeah, shout out, man. Shout out to Coach Ansel, man. Like I said, I never met him personally. I didn't bump into him at MTSU. But like I said, man, just I don't know how long he's been in MTSU. You said 17 seasons.
But
Maybe.
it's that first tournament
Oh,
win
so
in
I'm sorry.
17
Tournament went
years.
17 years. I don't know how long Coach Enzo's
Yeah.
been there, man. But like I said, from 2015 to 2019 when I graduated, them girls were rolling. They were rolling, and nothing was slowing them down. In conference, out of conference, whatever it was, until they got to the tourney. So I'm glad they got it. Just glad they got the dub today, man. I'm glad they got the dub today. Chance to play one of the better teams in the country and see how we match up. See how we match up.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, man, Coach Ensel's been the coach there since 2005. So,
Once
yeah.
again, he's been one of the constants.
Yeah.
He's been one of the constants at
Yeah.
MTSU, man. Like, it's almost 20 years.
And I
Almost 20
mean,
years.
and the thing is, right, it's kind of like even when they have like down years,
Mhm.
it's never, I don't think, me personally, like you said, I don't think I ever seen them have a losing record. I don't think they've ever had it to where, you know, they were like under 500 or any of that. Like I don't recall it as I'm
Yeah, I don't
looking at
know.
it now. As I'm looking at it now, the worst record I've seen them have is his 2017-2018 year, and they went 18-13.
Mhm.
And that's the only time it looks like, besides from the shortened year from 2020 to
Mhm.
2021, where they didn't hit 20 wins.
Yeah.
And even
No.
still, I think they made the tournament there. So I mean, even if
They've
they
been
don't make the
balling, man.
NCAA tournament, man, they've always gone into the women's NIT and have made
Hmm.
runs there. Have made deep runs there. So it's a constant, man. But I don't know. I mean, Coach Enso is a legend, man. Because before he was coaching at MTSU, I did a story on this back when I was in school. He was coaching up there at down in Shelbyville, man.
Okay.
Bro, if you go down to Shelbyville High School and go to their gym and see just the number of banners, gold balls, silver. I'm talking about, and I ain't talking about like, oh, it was 1980 and then it was like a gap,
Hmm.
1987. I'm talking about 91, 92, 93.
Just
Like they were
whooping folk.
just, so it's just kind of like, and it's funny because I know one of the guys in the group chat asked about, has Coach Insel ever thought about taking maybe a bigger
Bigger job.
job and wanting to go anywhere else. But
Mhm.
I mean, man, for somebody who's been there that long, I can't see him really leaving. I think, you want to talk about a lifetime contract. Coach Insel, Coach Coach
He
Insel,
winning, man.
man, Coach Insel could probably walk around wherever he wants to, from Woodbury to Shelbyville to Murfreesboro, maybe even to Nashville, and get whatever he wants for free, probably.
Yeah,
Like
it's
for
MT alums
real.
walk around in Nashville for sure. That's
Yeah,
gonna
for real,
recognize them.
man.
Yeah.
For real. So think about it, right? It's just amazing the job that he's done. And I get it, not a lot of success as far as winning in the NCAA tournament, but with where he is, the landscape of college basketball and the conference that he is, and just to pretty much dominate. And we talking about from Sun Belt to now in Conference USA. Like this isn't just a recent thing. Like, this isn't kind of like how a couple of schools kind of got hot all of a sudden and now they're
Mm-hmm.
like the it school. Like this is like from the start where he's been there from the first year that he stepped in till now. And granted, I know a lot of people may not know much about MTSU basketball, but also if you go inside the Murphy Center and you look at them banners, and when you see, and I'm not trying to be funny when I say this, but when you look on there and you go inside and you see the banners compared for the men's and the women's,
Just a little different.
you know what I mean?
They're a
And
little just a little
and,
different.
and, and
When
it
we
was
were there,
kind of
they were neck and neck.
yeah,
We were there, men's and women. The men's and women's team was yeah, women's team
it's
has been once again constant. It's been
constant,
constant, man. They have
constant.
constantly been a good program,
Yeah.
winning program, constantly.
And I'm talking about even if you really like pay attention, even kind of before he even got there, there's still
Okay,
banners, you know what I'm
yes.
saying, beforehand. So it's just kind of like, it's not I'm telling you, whenever you if you ever get a chance to
Next
go
time
back
I come
again and
back,
kind of
yeah.
just
Next time I
just
come
kind of
back,
sit there and pay attention, like, the
women's team
women's
been like
the
that.
women's program has kind of been a a good model of consistency for sure. I mean, I feel like Coach Insel has definitely taken it to another
Mm,
level to where it's like you expect them to uh you expect them to go in and pretty much be at top of the conference or win the conference
mm,
year in and year out. He just gets them, and they're not. The girls that he's bringing in aren't like necessarily 4 stars, 5
mm. Oh yeah,
stars, not
yeah.
like big name players and everything like that. But man, what he has working works. And it's there, and and it's not like you said, it's not like really lighting in the bottle, and they just kiss.
Mm-hmm.
They've beaten Power Five teams constantly
For
before.
sure,
I
for sure.
mean, there's a team that's for some reason a 6 seed in one of their regions, and they beat them pretty good down there in Huntsville, even though both teams are from the state of Tennessee. Hint, hint. So, I mean, they've, but for some reason they're a 6 seed and they were 11 seed, haven't been ranked all year. So I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm gonna leave it alone.
It is
But
what it is.
yeah. So like you said, probably won't be too many more upsets maybe in the women's tournament because it is a slight difference between like the better schools from
Mm-hmm.
here and there. But love to see that the one major upset right now has been from MTSU for sure.
Yes, sir.
Man, when you get ready to look and see like how now the men's are pretty much getting ready to shape up themselves for the second round, and we kind of got most of the second round matchups complete, kind of taken care of now. What are some of the second round matchups you're very interested to see?
A couple of them right off the bat. I think. What is a couple of them? Couple of picks that I have, boy. I mean, you said it. You said it. North Carolina, Michigan State.
That's
That's
the
one
one.
that's one that's definitely on the radar. Um, I think Mississippi State to win that game the other day, and Tom Izzo is one of my favorite coaches. He's one of my favorite college basketball coaches, and the fact that I did not pick them came back to bite me. I figured Mississippi State been playing well and was hot, so I figured they'd keep it going. But that's definitely a game. I think another game that people should be paying attention to um, is Kansas and Gonzaga. Now I know that obviously everything that's been going on with Kansas. Kansas has been banged up, losing a lot of the best players and everything, but found a way to win. although controversially, found a way to win against Sanford the other day. Gonzaga took care of McNeese State. How does Kansas look tomorrow against Gonzaga, the 4-5 matchup? What do they look like? Are they able to compete? Um, do they show some guts? I'm interested to see what Bill Self and the Jayhawks look like tomorrow. Uh, that North Carolina Michigan State game that could be a barn burner. That could be a good one. That could be a really really good one. They're playing with house money, man. No one's picking Michigan State to do anything, man. Um, so Michigan State's playing with house money. All the pressures on North Carolina. You're talking about they you beat Duke twice. You make it to the ACC championship game. You lose to in-state rival, not Duke, North Carolina State, and you're still a one seed. And you're still a one seed. And now you get to play Tom Izzo in Michigan State. It was going to be scrappy. It's going to be tough, and they're not going to go away easily. So I'm interested to see what North Carolina looks like tomorrow, especially being here in North Carolina and they're playing in Charlotte.
Yeah.
Don't go out there and lay an egg. It is not going to be good. It is not going to be good. It's not going to be good out here. So that's the game. That's the game on tap.
And the thing is, bro, history is just not in North Carolina's favor. I think they said the last like 7 times, because I think the spread is only 3.5 or 4.5, so it's very tight. Which is kind of letting you know how much Vegas and just everybody else is respecting Michigan,
Mm-hmm.
respecting Michigan State just because of the fact that it's a tough draw. At any single elimination, anything can happen. You just never know. But I think I saw something to where it said the last 7 times where the one seed faced, in that second round, and the line was under like I think 5 or 4 points or something like that. They've lost outright. I think 5 of the last 7 has lost. So it's just history isn't just working well in
Mm-hmm.
North Carolina favor, in North Carolina's favor for sure. And when I saw the bracket get set up, I saw it. I knew it. I said, okay, I said Michigan State's probably going to beat Mississippi State. And I was like, I said really whoever won, either one, Michigan State or Mississippi State. I was like, whoever won that's going to be a tough second round matchup for North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And this will let me know if we got a chance to go all the way and win the whole thing, or potentially see a former Tar Heel in the Elite Eight, or we gonna be the first one seed gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Which probably out of all the one seeds, we are the weakest. I can admit that. I think all the other one seeds are a bit stronger. Um,
Mm-hmm.
we'll potentially probably get some easier draws. So we got the toughest one here for the second round. But I mean, anything can happen. I've also seen it to where usually North Carolina will be a little lackadaisical and not really be on their best against
Mm-hmm.
some of the latter teams. But then when they know, okay, this is a heavyweight matchup,
They locked
we
and
got to be
loaded.
locked in. They are usually ready to go, locked in. So that's what that. But for sure, that one, Kansas and Gonzaga definitely, because uh, man, two teams that look totally different the other night. Like Gonzaga kind of pretty much whooped up on McNeese State.
Mm-hmm.
Probably had everybody fooled because we were thinking, oh, this might be the 5-12 that
The
you need to
five
go
twelve.
for,
Yeah.
and that wasn't the one to go for at
Picked the
all.
wrong one. That was the
Yeah,
wrong
yeah,
one.
and and Kansas, caught a couple breaks against Sanford. Man, Sanford had them on the ropes as they was climbing
Mm-hmm.
back. So, um, but I mean, the name of the game is survive and advance. That's what
That's it.
Kansas did. It is what it
Mm-hmm.
is. But potentially a chance to potentially see Purdue in that Sweet 16 matchup, on the line. So um, a lot riding on that for sure. Gonzaga, both of these teams really has been a model of consistency. You want to talk about,
Yeah.
a model of consistency for sure. These last decade, in the tournament, not too many times where you don't see these two teams make it to at least a Sweet 16 or maybe
Mm-hmm.
an Elite Eight. So it's gonna be a good matchup, and it's gonna suck that somebody's season
Gotta
is gonna
go.
end. So it is what it is with that. So let me ask you this, bro. When you filling out these brackets, what do you? I know a lot of people be like, "Oh, my bracket is busted because maybe one team that they pick didn't win that particular
Hmm.
game, but they didn't have them really going far." What do you consider your bracket being busted? When do you say like my bracket is like it's done?
When you pick a team to go at least to the Elite Eight and they lose, especially round one, they lose, I think it's busted. Because now chaos can break out after that. Because you just never know whoever you picked. So I picked BYU to make it, I believe, to the Sweet 16, if I'm not mistaken. I think I have them in the Sweet 16. It might even be the Elite Eight. But I think at least to the Sweet 16, I have at least winning two games. My bracket is kind of busted. It's kind of busted. If I am to the Elite Eight, it's for sure busted because now, okay, Duquesne is playing. Does Duquesne keep winning? They keep losing, and then I think when you have multiple teams like that, um, I think if you can get out of the first two rounds with at least your Final Four still intact, if you can get out of the first two rounds with your Elite Eight still intact, I think you're living. You're pretty solid. But if you have a team that that you picked to make it, people had Kentucky Elite Eight. I know people had Kentucky Final Four.
Same.
Yeah, it's a wrap.
Yeah.
That's done for. It's over. So I think that's what constitutes it, man. I think when you have a team, when you pick the team to at least make it to those later rounds, I think Elite Eight. I don't know if Sweet 16. I don't know, but at least if you have a team going to that Elite Eight and they lost already, yeah, it's pretty much a wrap. You gonna scrap that one guy.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I kind of say more so like if half of like your Final Four or like a good portion of your Elite Eight is gone before
It's
we even
tough.
get to the Sweet 16 or at least the second round, it's busted. Like
Hmm.
for me, like I'm like I was upset that BYU lost, but I didn't.
Hmm.
I only had them winning one game, so I'm like, okay, I had them losing to Illinois the next round anyway.
Okay.
I'm not upset about it. Kentucky, yeah, I hated it, but I'm like, I had them potentially losing. Now, see, I had Texas Tech in the Sweet 16, so
Okay.
you know what I'm saying. So I kind of like, dang, that kind of hurt me, but not so much. Cause I'm like, I had them beating Kentucky, so like, I didn't even have Kentucky in the Sweet 16. I thought they would be
Hmm.
gone second round anyway. So I'm like, I'm okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, my upsets aren't going the way I thought they would go for the most part.
That's
I've
the
I've
that's the
struck
part.
I've
Yeah.
struck out I've struck out on those, but
Hmm.
I didn't have no real major runs out of anybody. The only real I think double digit seed I had making on a run is James Madison right now. I think I had them. I think I might have put them in the Sweet 16, but that's because I would love to see Duke not make it that far. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
I
that's
had I
just
had
me.
I had North Carolina State making the Sweet 16.
So so it's just kind of like it's in text. I feel like a lot of people like when BYU lost. I guess depending on how you had it or when can like oh my bracket's busted. But I'm like I feel like
Hmm.
as long as you got right now all of your Final Four teams, and I would say six of your Elite Eight teams in, I think you're still okay because a lot could happen. Because I feel like if you had your upset picks and they didn't win, I think that's okay because you probably didn't have them going far
Hmm.
anyway. But yeah, I feel like long as you ain't lost long as you haven't lost half your Final Four and 2/3 of your Elite Eight, you're still
Should be all
good.
right.
Now once they get the going, then it's like okay,
You in some trouble.
rip the shreds, right? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Okay, I'm gonna rip it. It's over with. But I think it's okay. So two-part question here for both men and women's.
Hmm.
One is are your Final Four teams still intact as of now?
Hmm.
And number two, announce who you have right now for your prediction that you think is going to go to the Final Four, both men and women's.
Okay, so for the men's, my Final Four is still intact. My Final Four for the men's, I had UConn, Houston. I had UConn, Houston. Out of the West, I had North Carolina, and then out of the Midwest, I had Tennessee. So those are my Final Four. So UConn, Tennessee, Houston, and North Carolina. That was my Final Four for the men's. For the women, South Carolina. I think Iowa gets out of their round. I think they get out. I think that they'll match up. They will match up with LSU. There will be a rematch
A
in that.
rematch.
There will be a rematch. I think Iowa gets out of that bracket. All right. So South Carolina, Iowa. The West for me, that one was tough. I went with Stanford. I don't know a whole lot about. I don't know a whole lot about Texas. They're the number one seed down in that part of the bracket, so I went with Stanford. And then I haven't watched much Juju Watkins at all. I have not, to be completely honest. I haven't.
Man,
I haven't watched too much of him.
man,
But
man, you missing out, boy.
all I keep hearing is how good she is, and I want to see it. So I picked USC. So I picked USC West, Trojans, South Carolina, Iowa, and I got Stanford. It's gonna be tough though, man. Like I believe South Carolina has Notre Dame. They have Notre Dame in there.
Yeah.
They have Notre Dame
So
on their side.
potentially could see them in
Yeah.
the Elite Eight.
So
Yeah.
you got Texas and you have Texas and Stanford. Tennessee was tough to overlook. I think Tennessee is definitely a good team after seeing what they did and pushed how they pushed South Carolina in that SEC championship game.
Yeah.
Um, you got Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech in that same bracket. You got Portland 3 with USC and UConn in that
UConn,
same
can't forget about
in that
UConn,
same
bro.
bracket. Exactly. And then obviously we mentioned Iowa and LSU being in the same one as well. But um, South Carolina, Southern Cal, Stanford. That's my Final Four for the women's side. So I'm still good right now. I feel good about both the women's side, man. That Southern Cal and then with UConn and I'm nervous. I'm nervous about that. It's Gino, you know what I'm saying? Gino. I'm nervous about Gino, but um, that's my two Final Fours. Who you got?
So yeah, I'm still good. I'm still intact as well. Um, the final for me with the men's, the Final Four that I wanted was Houston, Creighton, Auburn, North Carolina. That's the Final
Mhm.
Four that I wanted. Well, obviously Auburn's gone, so I ain't getting that. What I think will happen, I got UConn, Houston, Purdue, and Arizona.
Okay. In Arizona.
So yeah, so that's my four there. Obviously, I now when I did my bracket challenge because
Mm-hmm.
there's a little wager on the line with one of the groups I'm in. I went with North Carolina. I couldn't. I just had
You
to.
went there, you picked your boys.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
But I'm also a realist to know that we could easily, like I said, we could easily be the first one seed gone.
Mm-hmm.
Out of
It's tough. I think Purdue
everybody
is in that same
because
predicament too, though. I think Purdue is right there too,
yeah,
though.
but I will say I feel like they got I don't want to say they got a super easy draw, but some of the
Probably until
teams
they got
they're
to play
facing,
Tennessee or something like that. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like I said, they get the winner of Utah State TCU, which I think that's going on right now, if I'm not mistaken, or
Mm-hmm.
about to tip off here soon. So we'll see about that. Potentially they'll get, if they continue on, they'll see Gonzaga and or Kansas just I don't know, like you said. So that might be a test there, and they could
Mm-hmm.
potentially see Tennessee if everything holds the form as far as seeding goes. So it'll be tough. I don't know, but we'll see. I also think I think they tired of losing. Early, which they finally got out of the first round here for the first time in a few years. But I think they just tired
Mm-hmm.
of getting kicked out so early, man. So I think they gotta bench us. I don't think they'll go on a Virginia run where they go from getting kicked
Yeah.
out first round by 16 and win the whole thing. I don't think they'll do that. But I got
Yeah.
them. That's what I got in my final four for the men's side. For the women's side, uh, of course, South Carolina went there for on their side. Um, I took Iowa as well. I think they'll
Mm-hmm.
meet up with LSU in that Elite Eight matchup for the rematch there, but I think they'll get them this year. I got Iowa. I went on ahead and took USC with Juju Walker. I think they got the toughest draw out of everybody for sure because
They got a
they could
tough one.
potentially see UConn.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State is pretty good as well. Um, Baylor, they could potentially
Yeah.
run into
I forgot
Baylor in the
about
Sweet
Baylor. Yeah.
16, or maybe even Virginia Tech. So they definitely got the hardest. And then for the other regionals, so the Portland regional for Regional 4, I went with North Carolina State to come out.
Ooh.
Um,
Okay.
I'm with you. I don't know about Texas, man. I don't
Yeah.
know. They got to show me. They got to show me. They got to show me for sure. I don't know about Texas, man, because they could. I mean, they could make a run to the Final Four, but I can see them losing. I can see them losing in the Elite Eight to either Stanford or North Carolina State. I got North Carolina
Mm-hmm.
State obviously beating Stanford in the Sweet 16, so that's where I got that from.
Mm-hmm.
But they could also lose in the Sweet 16 to Utah, man. Utah, that's a gritty team out there that they got. Them girls is tough. Them
Mm-hmm.
girls is tough, man. So, um, a lot can happen. I've seen to where a couple brackets I seen having people Tennessee coming out of that region. I mean, just
So
because of
Tennessee is,
because of the run that they went on and
yeah.
how better they have improved. I
We
mean,
lost to MTSU.
they did. Yeah, just to let y'all know. We know. I mean, probably they were a coaching collapse away from winning
The SEC
the
championship.
the SEC championship or going to the SEC
Oh,
championship game. I
going
think
to
I
it.
think that was
Excuse me.
I think that was the semis. Yeah, that was the semis. My bad. That was the semis.
Yeah, to go
But
to it. Yeah.
they were pretty much a coaching lapse away, which hindsight I get it. It was like it was Cardoso. She ain't never made a three before. But
But
then
you
you got
got to
to put a
guard
body on.
everybody.
But you got to put a body on her somewhere.
Some tell somebody to close out.
Yeah, you got to put a body on.
Do the run
Somebody got to do
box.
something.
Do
Yeah,
the run box with
something.
the snap. Something.
I'm telling you, something. Y'all got to do something. All right, hey, something. I mean, you got whatever. So yeah, that's my final four. I got South Carolina, Iowa, um, USC, and I went with North Carolina State. Just because even in the women's side, I don't think I can see all one seeds making it. Um, and I think it's probably gonna be between Texas and USC just because
Yeah.
um not saying that South Carolina's path is easy
No, Notre
themselves
Dame is
because
right
we
there. Yeah.
yeah, because
Notre
that's I
Dame is
mean
there.
they gotta but if Indiana can make it through tomorrow with Fairfield, because Fairfield is 31-1. So they've only lost one game all year. So that's not an easy draw, really, when you look at it on paper
Mm-hmm.
for Indiana. But if they make it through and get past, Oklahoma, potentially if they get past Florida Gulf Coast, um, they could see Indiana, who's a pretty good team themselves in the Sweet 16 as well. A potential Elite Eight matchup with Notre Dame if everything holds in well for our seeding goes for sure. So it won't be easy.
Mm-hmm.
I I kind of wished. I kind of wish. I mean, it's a good thing that they kept it going, but I kind of had wished they did lose that game to UT in the semis because they could have got that L out the way. and the pressure of trying to stay
Be
undefeated
undefeated. Yeah,
won't be.
that's always gonna be a that's
But
always
that's
gonna
not an
be a
easy,
thing.
you know, it's not an easy thing to do. I mean, but it's been accomplished before as well. We seen UConn do it, so you know,
Hmm.
UConn can do it. South Carolina can too. That's not a problem. But once again, like I said right in the beginning, man, all it takes is one bad game. Cardoso can get in foul trouble. You know, the rest of the girls could not really be making their shots right now.
Hmm.
Gosh, I'm blanking on the freshman name that just got the NIL deal from Under
Malaysia
Armour.
for Wale.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
for
like
Lawler. Yeah.
Malaysia could not be at her best. You know, anything could happen, man. So it's tough, but yeah, those are my four: South Carolina, North Carolina State, Iowa, USC.
Hmm.
So we'll see. Um,
We shall see, man. We're just getting started.
I yeah, I hope nobody lets us down, but it's always the potential there as well.
Yeah,
So
no doubt. No doubt.
you
Trust
know,
me. No doubt.
we we gonna see, man. But as we get ready to wrap up another episode, man, what you got that you gotta say out here to the people, man?
Man, enjoy this weekend. Enjoy March Madness. This is one of the best times of the year, um, especially for all the college basketball fanatics. It's a great time of year. You're rolling to the NBA playoffs coming up here in a couple weeks as well. Major League Baseball will start up um, next, not next week, but week after as well.
Week
So
after, yep.
this is a good time. It's a good time to be a sports fan, but just sit back and enjoy these games. Watch. I'm watching men's and women's games. I mean, this is going to be good. This is going to be good as this continues. Man, March Madness is always a good time of the year. So continue to stay safe, stay healthy. Um, for all my people, I said it last episode. All my people with allergies, man, load up on it, especially down here in the South, Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee. Go ahead, and Alabama. Go ahead and load up on your allergy medicine. Get ready for that, and keep supporting and be ready for another episode, man. That's it. That's all I got.
Yeah, same for me as always, man. Continue to support the podcast. We appreciate it. Um, we love any type of interaction, followings, um, sharings, retweets, posts, all that stuff, man. We definitely appreciate it. Continue to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Um, definitely because once stuff gets posted, the notifications do pop up for sure. Um, we definitely love that from it. Man, love black women, cherish black women, protect black women. No means no.
No means no.
No. As the seasons change, we are officially into spring now. So
Yes, we are.
things are transpiring, starting to hopefully consistently get warmer. I
Hmm.
don't know about up there, but here it's in the 70s a couple of days and it rains and it gets back down to the 50s. And it's just
It
like,
did that to us this week. Yeah.
golly, it's just like, come on,
Hmm.
man. Let's get for real spring going. But yeah, man. Definitely enjoy this weekend as the tournament keeps chugging along. It's really crazy because when you think about it, it's over in a span of like 3 to 4 weeks, but it really flies
It feels
by
like it's
because
forever.
you know what I mean, like because
Yeah.
you got 16 games going on in one day, just like all day, and then you come
Hmm.
back and have 8 more the next 2 days, then you have four more, two more. Then before you know it, it's like, damn, we didn't hit the final four.
Yeah.
and, the crazy thing is once they get to the Elite Eight and they have that, you got a whole week before they even get to the final four. So it's just kind of like you be like, dang, it's really over with. Before you know it,
Hmm.
for real, it flies by, man. So just enjoy it. Um, if your team that you picked to go win the national championship or Final Four ends up getting kicked out, please don't break no TVs, man.
They
Don't
gonna
break no
do it.
TVs. Don't be doing no stuff that just don't make no sense, man. Be upset, rip your brackets up. That's cool, but don't break no TVs, bro. Don't be out here just doing doing the most.
DS.
Yeah,
DS. We'll just leave
yeah,
it at
for
that.
sure, for sure. Let's not do that, man. Just can please
Hmm.
just understand it just wasn't your team. It wasn't their year this year. They had a bad night. It is what it is. Come back again next
Hmm.
year, man. Um, Interesting to see what UConn does for sure. They're trying to be the first team to repeat in what it's almost 20 years now. I think we hadn't had a repeat since Florida did in the 07,
Yeah.
08 or 06, 07. I'm sorry. So
Hmm.
been a long time. It's hard to do.
Billy Donovan. Yeah.
For sure. And I've also noticed that most of the right now, technically, all the West Coast teams are in trouble. No, they had a line divided where pretty much where Baylor was on East have been the last few national champions since 1997. The last team to win out West was in 1997, and that was Arizona. So
Mm.
it's been Baylor on East
That's been
where the
winning it.
national champions has been. So take that for what it's worth.
Tough.
Yeah, yeah, but y'all enjoy it, man. Don't forget about the NIT too. I know that's been a topic of discussion, which maybe we'll get into that for the next episode. But we'll see here and there. But man, don't forget about the NIT. Is there a lot of good teams there who probably should have been in the tournament. But
Pittsburgh.
it is what it is. But hey, they talking about like we talked about in the last episode. They talking about extending the field anyway. So
Hmm. So we'll see.
whatever. Yeah, whatever. So, but yeah, man, y'all continue to like and subscribe to the podcast, man. We appreciate it. Shoot, until the next time. This has been another episode of the Easy Money Sports Podcast.
Please.
Shoot.